Hello and welcome to this week's Mega Football TV. Now don't be frightened, Charlotte hasn't had some kind of horrible genetic mutation and turned into this. She's away this week, so you've got me. Last week's winner of the big £500 prize was Bacon Bubble with an impressive score of 7717. Bacon Bubble came 350 odd points ahead of seasoned Pick'em Pro Gaz Lead and the Slater. Bacon Bubble correctly predicted 7 out of 9 match winner picks, correctly predicted that Adebayor would get the first at Hull and that Jermaine Defoe would come back to haunt his old club. So that's a mighty impressive picking and a well-deserved £500 to you. Last week was all about Man City's Mega Millions in the Premier League. Well, 108 of them to be exact. And according to Sparky, the deal is still on and Man City is still going to get Kaka. But Arsene Wenger has got a slightly smaller budget this season, and this was the look on his face when he found out that Kaka was going to cost £108 million. And this was Wenger's reaction when he was told how much he'd have to spend this January. Man City's current flock of superstars managed to sneak past Wigan this week with a 1-0 victory. Wigan, whose whole side has cost less than what Kaka could end up costing City, were unlucky to go down 1-0. And with Man City's Richard Dunn being sent off, some people were left mystified as to why exactly that sending off took place. Well, our camera guys managed to get a different angle on the situation, which might clear things up for you. Chelsea also managed to struggle their way past a side that was put together for less than the change in their chairman's pocket. Just as chants of "you're going to be sacked in the morning" were starting to ring around Stamford Bridge, Chelsea rallied and managed 2 late goals to give them a 2-1 win against Stoke. The Blues have only managed to win 2 out of their last 5 games at the Bridge, so not a fantastic record. But we think we've figured out why that might be. We managed to sneak a peek of Chelsea's formation and team sheet before the Stoke game. The first big game in this week's Mega Football Pick'em is the Merseyside derby at Anfield. Liverpool are undefeated at home this season and Everton come boasting the 4th best away record anywhere in the league. Now these teams play on Monday, so you might want to keep an eye on the results and change your picks based on that. Everton do have slightly better form coming into this game and their away form has certainly been very good this season, so those are things to pay attention to. They have won the last 3 games on the trot and they haven't conceded a goal in the last 5 matches, which is pretty good defensively for Everton. Liverpool, on the other hand, are completely undefeated in the last 8. They've had a few draws in that, as you can see from the graphic, and they've drawn against the likes of Hull, Fulham, Bolton and most recently Stoke. So some not particularly credible draws there, but nonetheless they are undefeated, they are scoring a few goals and they are going to cause Everton a few problems. Now, this is going to be an important cut to both of these sides, so I suspect they're both going to put out pretty strong teams, maybe only rest a couple of players. Liverpool have already beaten Everton 2-0 at Goodison this season, but I think the defining factor at Anfield is going to be Everton's good form recently and their really strong defensive performances in the last 5 games. Liverpool are going to find that hard to break down with Robbie Keane off form and Torres being a bit hit and miss at the moment, and I think those are going to be the key defining factors in this game. As a result, I think it's going to be a very tight match and I'm going for 1-1, a draw in this one. So the next pick we're asking you for on the Liverpool versus Everton game is the total goals pick. Studying this pick, as you can see from the graphic, both teams have managed a good return of goals all season despite their striker injuries, despite problems with Robbie Keane and Torres being injured and Everton virtually having no strikers up front at all. They have both done pretty well. Liverpool are 5th in the average goals per game chart and Everton are 7th, not that far behind them. If you actually add the 2 averages from this graphic together, you'll get 3. So you might be tempted to go for 3 goals in this one. But before you do that, it's worth considering that Liverpool have kept 12 clean sheets out of 21 games this season, and Everton have also managed 8, which ranks them pretty highly on the number of clean sheets this season. So based on that, my prediction for this game is going to be 2. A little bit less than the average, but I think it's going to be a tight game, but there will be goals. The next game we're looking at in this week's Mega Football Pick'em is a game that ended 0-0 at White Hart Lane earlier on in the season, but this time it's at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United versus Spurs. Now Fergie is likely to rest some of his stars. People like Giggs, Scholes and Neville may well get a break, but United's rested team did manage to lose 1-0 to Derby in the other cup, so Harry Redknapp will definitely be eyeing up Fergie's weaknesses and looking to exploit any inexperienced players that Fergie ends up playing in this game. Now everybody made a big fuss last week about Manchester United equalling the record for the number of games without conceding a goal in the Premier League. They've now gone 10 games without letting in a single goal, and considering during that period they've been missing Evra through suspension, Ferdinand through injury, they've had to juggle a lot, and that makes the whole thing even more impressive. But what's even more frightening and impressive than that for United fans is their home record this season. Take a look at this. As you can see from this depressing home record, if you're not a Man United fan, only Newcastle have managed to take anything from Old Trafford this season, getting a draw on the first day of the season. No one's managed to walk off with any points from Old Trafford since then, and with Spurs averaging less than a goal a game so far this season, all but the biggest of Spurs fans are going to be backing United for this one, even if Fergie does play his youth team. Now Spurs do have a good record against the so-called Big Four in the Premier League. This season they've already managed draws against Chelsea, Arsenal and Manchester United, and they've chalked up a 2-1 win against Liverpool, so there's definitely hope for Harry. But Spurs do have this on their side. They've managed to get 4 draws out of United in their last 8 meetings, with United winning the other 4, so there might be hope for the draw if you're a Spurs fan. But what's more is Spurs this season have already managed draws against Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester United, and have beaten Liverpool in the process. So their record against the top 4 is pretty impressive considering their record elsewhere isn't that good. And if you're a Spurs fan, you wouldn't be wrong to back your team here. United have got an awesome record at home. They've scored 2.4 goals a game on average, and they've been completely undefeated, winning 9 of their 10 games. I think that's going to be a big uphill battle for Spurs, and with their lack of goals, they're really going to struggle. I'm going for an easy United win. In the next pick, we're asking you if Berbatov's going to come back to haunt his old team and get one against Spurs. Well, before you make your mind up on this one, I know Rooney's still injured and Berbatov will definitely play, but the question is, will he definitely play? The Spurs game will be United's 3rd game in 7 days and comes in a massive fixture pile-up that they've got going on at the moment. So there's a very good possibility that he'll be injured, or he won't play, or he'll be rested for the whole or part of the game. So you might want to take that into consideration before you make your mind up. But on the flip side, Berbatov has scored 3 goals in his last 4 United games, most of which Rooney's missed. So if he's fit, Fergie will play him. My own prediction is that the fixture pile-up is going to get to Berbatov and he's going to play part or none of this game. And as a result, I'm going for Berbatov not to score against his old side. In the next big game, the Gunners travel to the Ninian Park to play Cardiff City, who are currently 6th in the Championship and have gone 9 games without losing. Arsenal seem to be hitting a rich vein of form at the moment. They've been undefeated in their last 8 and have managed to win their last 3 consecutive Premier League games. Despite the troubles they had with 7 captains in the first team so far this season and all the drama in the boardroom, their season seems to be settling down and they seem to be finding their rhythm. Arsenal's problem all season hasn't been their creativity, hasn't been their dominance of games. They've managed those 2 things brilliantly. The problem they have had is their cutting edge in front of goal. But things look like they were starting to turn against Hull City. They had 8 shots on target and managed to score 3 good goals. And if that continues against Cardiff City, then Cardiff are in for a battering, just like Sheffield United were earlier in the season. I don't think it's going to be 6-0, but Arsenal could definitely put a few past Cardiff if they keep their cutting edge in front of goal. Cardiff top scorer Ross McCormack has managed to get 15 goals this season, and having just come back from injury in his first game, he set up and scored a goal. So he's going to be a massive threat to Arsenal, especially if they play a weakened side. Cardiff, on the other hand, have got a pretty good record at Ninian Park. They haven't let in more than 2 goals against anyone this season and have averaged to let in only 1 goal per game at Ninian Park this season. So Arsenal will have their work cut out for them. With the style of football Arsenal play, a battering could always be round the corner for a weaker team somewhere, and it could happen to Cardiff. Against Hull City, Arsenal could have had quite a few more goals in my opinion, and even though Arsene Wenger is likely to play his youngsters in the FA Cup, where he usually likes to use the competition to blood them, I think those youngsters have already proved they're capable of getting goals, and they can get goals, and they can give teams a good hiding. Cardiff have got promise, but they haven't played anyone of Arsenal's quality all season. No Premier League teams in any of the competitions they've been in, and I think the step up in class is really going to trouble them. I think they will put one past Arsenal, and that Arsenal will be the first team to put more than two past them this season, but the winning margin will still only be 2.